Okay. I hate that voice.
I love it.
Hey, welcome to Over 50
like Friday.
Starting. I'm Barry Evans. Sounds like Friday. That's a good way. And I got my new mic. It's working.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So I went to the gym this morning and go to get out of the car, turn my earbuds on, and they're dead. So I was off to a bad start again, tech-wise, on Friday. It seems to be a new thing for me.
Yeah.
It's a big thing. Like when I go to the gym and to listen to my podcast, I really enjoy it. I mean, it's a big thing for me. So to not have it, I consider just going home. As horrible as that is.
No, it makes sense. It totally makes sense to me.
Yeah. So, and then I came home and I had a half hour. I got to walk Charlie and make some breakfast and all. So I'm going to listen to my podcast then. I go out walking Charlie and the other set of earbuds. I'm like, I got like 3 pair. I always want to be prepared. They died. I didn't have them charged. And I try so hard to have them charged. So anyways, that's my morning.
Wow.
Not meant to listen to podcast this morning.
I guess not. The podcast gods were against you on that one.
I always think that there's a good reason for it. Like I'm meant to do something else.
Right. Maybe you're meant to talk to somebody in the gym or whatever.
Which I did. I did just say hi to somebody new. He said hi to me and he's like, man, I'm really dragging this morning. I'm not into this. I'm like, totally with you. I was just thinking the same thing, but it's just always nice. Now we'll always smile at each other in the morning.
Right.
So it's a good thing. Such a minor thing.
Yeah,
it meant something to me.
Yeah, there you go. That's pretty cool. Now you're just getting back from Florida, right?
Yeah, we got back Tuesday. So it's been a drag of a week, kind of, catching up, getting things done.
Yeah.
All of that. So, and it went by so fast. That week in Florida went by so fast. We had perfect weather every day. And I'll say our last day was really, really nice. Our last day, we had 3 beach days. And that means that we go early in the morning, like we try to get on the road by 9. I say on the road, it's right across the bridge. But
right.
Any later than that, the traffic gets to be a real drag. And also the Florida sun, it gets so hot. So by 12:30, 1 o'clock, we leave and go right over to Siesta Key Village, which is just a bunch of restaurants and bars, which is really fun. And so that we did that 3 days, and our last day being one of them. And we're sitting at Gilligan's Island, one of our favorite places there, having some drinks. And boy, Lisa starts hitting me with the work list, the things I have to do when we get back home.
Just what you wanted to talk about.
That's what I said. After a while, I'm like, can we get back to the present and enjoy our last day? And you know what? We did. From there.
That's good.
And really enjoyed it. It was really a great day. And just saying, guys, you gotta go on vacation. You gotta take some time out and do that. How was your week?
I think it was good. I just wanted to comment. I think, that thing about being on vacation and when you're on vacation, I think that's a good point, is stay on vacation. Don't start going through lists of things that you have to do while you're on vacation. You got time to do that.
That's not why you're on vacation.
These things, right? Exactly. I went on vacation. I thought about work the whole time. What?
No, and I don't mean to dog on Lisa about that, but she would.
No, I think that's a female thing, though.
On Sundays, it'd be 4 or 5 o'clock on Sunday. Oh, the weekend's over. No, it's not. No, it's not. I hear that all the time.
Yep.
Yeah, leave me to my Sunday, please. It will
Sunday you get that right around that time on Sunday, 5 o'clock, you start realizing Sunday is starting to slip away here. And this has been a thing. I think I've talked about this before all my life, is you start to get that Sunday anxiety. You start to have somebody else start getting to go through lists of things. It only throws fire on that, or logs on that fire. I think it's like my dad always watched 60 Minutes. And that ticking sound. Yeah. That tick, 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 tick. Oh my gosh.
That's bad conditioning. So I have a suggestion for you. Pick a time like 7 or 8 o'clock at night on Sunday where you make a list of what you're going to do the next morning or for the week or whatever, so that you know that you're going to do it at that time. So you don't have to think about a thing up until that time. All right. That's highly, I have read about that. So I don't really do it, but I mean, I don't allow myself to think about that stuff until about 7 or 8 o'clock.
Yeah. I try to extend my weekend as much as I possibly can in any way, not really think about it. But going back to your question, good week. Good. Working with Black Ops Partners this week. We came out with a new press release, and we've got a new outreach campaign going on. It was really fun working on that press release and getting that perfected. And we've got a new data sheet coming out as well. The team's working really well together. It's a lot of fun, actually. So
I like it.
And we're our target audience is really C-level, Fortune 1000. So we're reaching out to those people. And
how are you doing that? How are you reaching out?
We're doing a email, phone, followed up with phone calls, using LinkedIn, that kind of stuff. That's what we're doing. But good old fashioned dialing on the phone.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's a valid question today. I mean, you could be running, you might want to try LinkedIn ads.
What is LinkedIn ads?
Just like Facebook ads, but on LinkedIn.
Okay. I don't even know what, when you say Facebook ads, I'm imagining you have talked about this before. I use
Facebook ads all the time. It's the most targeted. Do you hear that? He loves squeaky toys, and he just squeaks and squeaks and squeaks on them. But I use Facebook ads all the time because it's the most targeted marketing we've ever had. So they're very effective. So all it is, whether it's LinkedIn ads or Facebook ads, is it's a post, and it's whatever you want it to be. It has to get approved, though. I mean, you put something out there that's really off, they're not going to accept it. And I even tried boosting one of our ads for our podcast, but it had back when it was always about COVID, which God, I got sick of, but didn't we all? They wouldn't let it run, which is not surprising for Facebook, who censors so much. And LinkedIn ads, same thing. Make a post. I would suggest that you make it very like valuable information. Not in other words, not like hit somebody in the face with an ad, but talk about the value in Black Ops Partners, which is cybersecurity. It's very valuable. So, I mean, I would really give that a shot. Put a few $100 behind it and see what happens. And if you then you measure your analytics from there. You see how many people you reached, how many people reacted to it, whether it was a like, a share, or a comment. And of course, in the end, you guys I don't even know about your web presence. I mean, I'd like to take a look at that.
Check it out, blackopspartners.com.
Yeah. So you want to direct them there. And then from there, this is very interesting. I love this stuff. Lead generation is something I specialize in. So what you want to do, you always got to think about social media as that is your marketing avenue, and your website is your headquarters. So it's your social media is like the billboards, and people are driving by, right? And they see a billboard. It's like, hey, I want to go there and try that something to eat. So then they go to your establishment to try you out, which is your website. So you got literally like 2 seconds to sell once they get to your website. So you want to make sure that as soon as they see it, they're not confused about what you are offering. They got to know right away to buy another 2 seconds. So it's like, oh yeah, this is the stuff I'm interested in. So now they just scroll down a little bit or look down a little bit and see. I usually recommend that you divide your offerings up into like 3 services. Now, here is where everybody goes wrong, is what I offer so much, everything under the sun I can do. Well, all right, now you're going to lose them. All right. So what do you do best and what do you want best? Because if you say you do everything, you're going to put yourself in a position immediately where you're only going to be at a race to the bottom of price. You're only going to be competing on price. So you're going to have to go with be a lower price than your competitor, and your life is going to suck. You're going to hate your business. You're going to hate your customers. So pick like your 3 top offerings. If you guys really have one top offering, that's even better. That means it's niching down. Niche down as much as you can so that, because what I want to finish the thought on is, if you do really truly can do everything under the sun, but if you lead with the 3 things that you're absolute expert at, that you love doing and you're the best at, your customer, after they become a customer and they love what you did for them, they will ask you what else you do. And do you do this? Do you because they want to work with somebody that they trust and like. Everybody does. So that's why you almost can't niche down enough.
It totally makes sense what you're saying.
Secure the customer first and treat them right. And if it's the stuff that you like doing and at a fair price, but not the lowest price, because you're the expert anyway, then they will come back and you'll build a good client base. So that's how you generate leads, and that's how you convert more prospects into customers. And that's pretty much my slogan. That's that in fact is my value proposition. You guys got to have very solid value propositions. And that is, what do you offer that your audience, that your competitor cannot, because you're differentiated by things like your individual experience and your education. And I'm just going to come back and say experience again. That's kind of a catch-all. So that was a very organic way to promote myself right here on the podcast. Both of us, actually,
Well, it's the company actually specializes in you mentioned cybersecurity. It's really not a cybersecurity company. We partner with cybersecurity companies. But cybersecurity companies are really more at the tactical level. It's blocking and tackling, where Black Ops Partners really is on the much higher the level of strategy. So here's the strategy to pull all these things together. It's not just cybersecurity, it's espionage, it's all of these things that can happen here regarding your strategy to thrive and survive. So as a matter of fact, when it comes to this and what we do, we really don't have any competition in what we're doing here. So you go to our webpage and you'll see
I'm there.
We've actually made that very clear what we're doing here, and we put a lot of work into it. So it's been a lot of fun. I think that in this day and age, with every crazy thing that's happening, where really it's not just your competition that's coming at you. Nation states are actually trying to put you out of business. They're planning on ways to be able to steal your intellectual property and mimic your company. And actually, because you've done all the R&D and they've stolen all your IP, they can then sell your product at 40 cents on the dollar and put you out of business. And if a nation goes after another nation and uses that strategy, carte blanche,
who could you be talking
kill
about?
That other nation. Well, it's not just China coming after you. There's a lot of different countries, but China's the number one. Russia's out there doing the same thing. Iran's doing the same thing. North Korea's doing the same thing. It's the usual suspects. So that's the attack that's happening on our country. And when we see these supply chain problems and we see rising inflation, a lot of it has to do with that. And you can see how that has an impact right at home, right in your refrigerator. It's happening.
Yeah, that's true. Well, for you guys, the nice thing is the news is propping up the awareness of you. I mean, more people will be seeking you out.
Yeah,
on their own, you know.
more people are feeling the pain. This thing is real. What we're looking at here is potentially a World War III type of scenario. And in fact, it probably is when you take a look at the geopolitical situation that's happening there, with really all of the nation's superpowers being involved in what's happening in the Ukraine right now. And it's having a definite impact on our trade ability, not only between nations, but here, because we're seeing rising prices, we're seeing rising supply costs, we're seeing rising fuel costs, and that has an impact on everything that's being sold today.
Yeah, I know. And obviously, I'm always checking the news several times a day and all, and it's getting to the point where we should probably hold off on this before we do a whole.
Oh yeah, I got some stuff too to go over here.
Oh, I do too. Go ahead. You go.
Good. Hey, I just was doing some research here over the past week on over 50 stuff, and one of the things that I think is important for us is, as we get into this age, we talk about this all the time. You know, we're sometimes looking for new things. You know, it is over 50 starting over. So I just ran across this article on it was called 9 Tips to De-Age Your Resume and Get Interviews. And,
interesting.
These are kind of interesting, actually. A couple of them were surprising to me, Barry. The first one in particular, including a middle initial or your middle name on your resume.
What is the explanation behind that?
You know what? They didn't have an explanation on this, and I thought it was interesting. I thought, what? So younger people don't use their middle initial or middle name, but when you really think about it,
they're saying that younger people do.
It says including a middle name or your middle. Oh, okay, is what they're saying? So
it would be insinuating. It would be insinuating that you're a little hipper.
Here are some ways your resume may make you look old. And they're saying, including a middle initial or your middle name. They're saying it's making you look old.
Oh, okay. Well, you said it backwards, or I heard it backwards. You're saying don't include a middle initial.
It's saying to de-age. I see what you're saying. Yeah, but it's saying here are some ways your resume may make you look old. Is including your middle name or your middle initial. So
gotcha.
They're saying don't do this. Who's saying that? It's from a site called over50startingover.net.
Gotta be kidding me. Really?
No, not kidding you.
They must be
netted it.
Well, they must be only within the last 2 years or so, or 4, because I bought the .com about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah. Well, they bought the .net.
Because they would have bought the .com if they could have.
Yeah, but they got the .net. In fact, that's actually what I was curious about is, hey, I wonder if anybody else is doing this over 50 starting over. It was pretty interesting, Barry, because we had a whole lot of stuff when I Googled it just come up. It was just, we were all over that, but there were a few others.
We got a lot of
this over 50. They used 5.0. They don't spell it out. It's over 50 starting over.net. And anyhow, so these guys seem kind of smart. So I thought, hey, okay, the flattery, what is it? Imitation is the best form of flattery. Yes. So, all right, that's pretty cool.
Well, what else they got? This is
displaying your full address. So this is showing your age, because it used to be okay to just put your full address out there and advertise it, but they're saying this is not only recommended simply for your personal safety. Yeah, this is, if you do it, you're showing your age. It's not only recommended simply for your personal safety, but also for the potential of economic profiling. Economic profiling.
Yeah, they're going to Google map your house or apartment or whatever and look at the value.
Yeah, and they're going to say, "Oh, you come from this. This is the kind of person you are. They're before they decide to hire you, they're going to determine what your income level has been, or they might just discriminate you.
They might
against you,
and they can easily go to your the county records and see if you have any liens against your property, if you are current with your taxes.
That's a good one. Yeah. Wow. Here's another one. Including more numbers than your mobile number would show that you're older. So you got your fax number on there.
The Telegram.
Right, exactly. So here's another one. Using an email address that is either AOL.com
Oh God,
or
yes.
has reference to a cable company. So
Yes.
yeah, you know,
SBCglobal.net. I know people
right.
with that. Yeah, the
Yep.
AOL for real. For real. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even
Get rid of
believe
that.
that people are still actually using AOL, but I
Right.
guess they are. You've got mail.
Well, right. I don't even know if that really exists. It's kind of like people that have gone over to AT&T, but still have SBCglobal.net addresses. I don't know
Hmm,
if they'll ever phase that out. It's been
interesting.
years. Yeah.
Including the year you graduated college. Let's leave that off, they say. In some cases,
Yes.
it may be before the
Ah, yeah. Froze up
hiring
again.
manager was born. If you are,
Right.
however, a recent graduate, it's saying if you're a recent graduate, then certainly
Mhm.
include the date.
I
All
think
right,
that's
here's
a
another one.
common sense one.
Yeah, that is common. Here's one, though, I hadn't thought about. Double spacing after a period. Let's be
Oh,
honest, I had to go back through this post and delete several extra spaces. Okay, so I had this debate with Anne Marie one day
it's a good
because
debate.
she was telling me, you need to double space after each one of these periods. And I'm like, well, I never heard that before. And
Mhm.
she's like, look, it looks so much nicer like this. So I started
Mhm.
doing it
Mm.
probably the past year. I never heard of it. I actually looked it up and I'm like, I found out grammatically you could do it. It's acceptable to do a single space or double
Yeah.
space after a period, but
Yeah.
apparently that's an older person thing. Double space.
It truly is, and I don't do that, but I do agree. I mean that started with the whole typewriters and on pre-computer, because I
Yeah.
do think it increases readability. There's a lot of things that the internet has hurt as far as readability goes, and I got trained in this in college
Mhm.
as design goes. One of the main things that drives me crazy is when people have take the full width of their website to put their text. So you're reading like maybe 6 to 8 inch long lines. It's hard for your eye to come back and follow the correct next line.
Boy, it really is, isn't it?
Another thing,
Even books that are like that are just
yes.
why would the guy do that?
And another thing that is a good practice since we are now online is to use more paragraph returns than maybe you would have. As soon as you start changing subject matter at all, use a paragraph return. Sometimes you're going to have one sentence paragraphs, but it helps in readability greatly.
Mm.
So yeah, 2 to 3 sentences tops for a paragraph.
Here's one, including an objective statement, which is all about you and
Yes.
what you want. The company doesn't care. This person is saying it reminds
Old
me
style.
of a quote from the Chick-fil-A founder, Turret Cathy.
Mhm.
He said, "We don't hire you because you need a job. We hire you because we need you." So no objective statement, period.
Okay, so that's for Chick-fil-A. That was the example. That wasn't for uh, being a director at an auto plant or something.
No, but I
Please,
get
dog.
the point on this whole thing. I mean, and this is this person's opinion from over 50 starting over. It sounds prestigious, of course.
Well, I'm trying to think it through and decide if I agree with it or not. I haven't
Yeah,
made my
you don't
mind
have
up.
to agree with these things, but it's
Right.
just this is just
What is your
interesting
opinion? Yeah,
information.
because
I,
you're really in sync with updating your resume and all this.
Yeah, personally, I get this.
Mm,
You want to be able to have it's not all about. And my objective is to find a job doing this, that, and the other. And I get what they're saying
I
here.
guess I do too.
Yeah, so you want to make it very targeted towards the value you're going to be able to bring to the company that you're interviewing with, and that should be displayed on your resume and really nothing
Wouldn't that
else.
really be your cover letter when you're tailoring this is what I bring, like a summary. This is what I bring to your particular company.
Right. And I think what they're talking about objective, I haven't seen objectives in a long time. So, I get what they're saying here, but and I get what you're saying too. I think just the magic here is tailor it towards the company or the industry you're looking to go for, and make it about them and not about you. That I guess that's what the bottom line is on this one.
I follow you.
Here, two more here. If you can help it, try not to go back more than 10 to 15 years of professional experience. There's some good tips in here. Most certainly do not list the jobs you held back in the 80s or 90s. But if you find that your past experience or significant achievements bring great value to the targeted position you're applying for, then I would recommend you summarize additional experience and leave off the pertinent dates associated with those experiences. So I thought that was a pretty good one here. You don't necessarily have to put the 1984 I was doing this, but you might want to highlight that in another section of the types of experiences that you've had.
I agree
without
with
a
that.
date.
Yeah.
Here's another. I agree with that one too. Don't list run-of-the-mill skills like MS Word, PowerPoint, or Excel. It makes it look like you've just learned those programs. I have to agree with that too.
Okay, I'm on the fence with that, because what if somebody would then wonder if you're proficient with that?
I kind of feel like this, Barry, that in the business world today, that people assume that you know those. They've been around since before the year beginning. 2000. Yeah, exactly. Yes. So if you don't know those and you're highlight, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like putting on. I know how to I type
60 words a minute.
Yeah, exactly. These are things you should be doing already. But I thought these were interesting, especially since it came from over 50 starting over.
Sure, I'm enjoying it. What else you got?
Yeah, no, that was it. Those are the 9 tips that they had for de-aging your resume. I'm sure there's a lot more, but those are things, some of them I never thought of before.
No, agreed. And no, I think all of us can appreciate that. What a drag updating your resume. You and I had the conversation before. Is it passe to do the one page, try to keep things to one page or multiple pages? And over the last couple of years, I've gotten much more experienced with that. I'd say that our conversation back then was really more of a question of a resume versus a CV. And the CV, now I can't even remember what that stands for, but a CV is typically 5-7 pages. It's a more of a detailed list of the most important highlights of your career and the accolades. And even you always want to try to make some kind of what I want to say, qualification to what you did, such as statistics. I improved our efficiency by 85% from this date to this date, or X amount percentage in sales, percentage increase in sales for your CV. But still, a resume is said to we want to keep that to around 1 page.
Right on. I looked up CV, and it's a Latin word, actually, which is curriculum vitae, which means course of life.
There you go. Some people just call it a vitae. In fact, I think in Europe, they do. And I know that because I have been going through this application process to be an instructor in online marketing for this company. Should I say the name? Yeah, what the heck? Open Classrooms. And they seem to be pretty big. And I'm not liking all the legal hoops that they want me to jump through. So I'm not sure if I'm going to continue with this, but they refer to it as a vitae.
Interesting. Yeah. I'd never even heard of that before. I've heard CV before, but never heard vitae. Somebody, hey, what about your vitae? I'd be like, I beg your pardon.
Yeah, I got a regular toilet. I don't know what you got.
We don't do all that fancy stuff in my house.
Yeah, we just use toilet paper.
Anyway, hey, so I did. You mentioned I froze up earlier. I did have the cable guy come out this week. He actually didn't come out. We had a conversation about what was going on, because he told me if I come over there And listen to this. If he
Sounds like your dad. If I come over there and nothing's
over there and nothing's wrong, I'm going to charge you $99 is what he told me. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, let's thank you for calling me. That was a courtesy. But I told him what was going on. He said, actually, it's working the way it's supposed to work. My download
You're getting
speed,
robbed.
Yeah. So he actually was able to pump up some stuff as much as he could. And then he recommended that when I do the podcast to try this, which is turn off all of my other devices that are hanging on to the internet, like my other laptops. It turns out I had like 9 different devices hanging on the internet here.
Oh, drain it. Yeah.
So he says, just turn those off. And I said, but they're not actually active. And he said, it doesn't matter. It's still taking up some of that bandwidth. So let that be a tip. He said, if you were doing just audio, it would be no problem, but it's the video that's actually taking up all the bandwidth. So turn these off. And I turned off a few of them before I got on this morning because I forgot all about it until the last minute. But several of them are not on any longer, so hopefully it works out better this week.
Well, okay. I would think that the first thing he would say is after he said, "There's nothing more we can do." That dog is on fire. I would think the first thing he would say is, can you move the modem closer to your computer?
Yes, that was one of the conversation points, but I can't because I don't have an outlet near that computer near my office or in my office. So and I live kind of on the outskirts of town here too. So that has an effect.
What about doing that booster?
Yeah, he said that would be a next step, and I told him, well, I got one right here. He said, I never heard of that. Anyway, so he couldn't help me. I could not get that to work. He did give me a recommendation. I can't remember what it was, but he did give me one.
Okay.
I wrote it down. We'll see what happens.
All right.
Oh, well, here's something he did tell me about the booster is, hey, if you think you're going to put the booster in your office and it's going to be better, think again, because if you have a weak signal in your office and you put a booster in there, it's just going to boost a weak signal. What you want to do is you want to find a place in your house, right, that's like midway between here and there where you have a good signal, and put that there and have it boost the signal from there. So I got all kinds of intel here on how to make this happen. So it's just going to get better and better, but I wanted to pass that along.
No, that's good stuff. I'm sure a lot of us can benefit from that.
Got a couple other things here. One is I wanted to follow up on the visit that I had last week with my stepfather's sister who lives in town, Carol. Oh my gosh, we had a great time over there. We went over to her park home that she has, which we had visited before when my parents were here visiting. She wasn't there, but we were meeting for the first time, which was weird because Larry's been my stepfather for like 25 years, and I've never met his sister before. So that was pretty cool. And it's nice having, family in town. Yeah. So we had a great time. She made a dinner for us, very tasty. She made a meatloaf and it was delicious.
A good meatloaf rocks.
Oh, she really made it rock too. And then we had two of our friends, Chaz Allen and his girlfriend Susan, came over. We had met them last time when we were visiting, and kind of became friends, and they found out we were coming over, and they just had to come over and see us. So we all hung around the fire pit and had a glass of wine and talked. And it turns out Chaz Allen, I think I told you about him. He was he's an author. He does the Audible stuff right now out of his home. He's a big fan of Over 50 Starting Over. He's been listening to every episode since.
Nice.
Yeah, great to have a new fan too. So it was a great time. Can't wait to go back and hang out with them.
Oh, that sounds good. Thanks for that update. What else you got? I got something.
I went to the DMV this week to get my new license. So Barry, I don't know if you know about the travel ID now.
I have an experience with that from traveling just now. I forgot.
Is that right? Okay.
Go ahead.
Interesting. So automatically they signed us up for the travel ID, so I don't have to do that. It was super easy compared to what it was like when I moved to California. I had to retake the the motorcycle, the written test, the motorcycle and driving, because I have that on both of those in my license. Didn't have to do any of that. Everything just transferred over. There was no big long lines like I had in LA. It was boom, got it done and everything. Only problem was after I did not want to be a donor. And I've got some reasons for not wanting to be a donor. And it might just be my own paranoia that they'd be like, hey, here's a guy. I don't know if he'll live or not, but we need that liver. I had that scenario played and I said, no, I don't want to be a donor. Yeah. So when I got in my car after we went through all of this, I looked at my paperwork. They made me a donor. And I'm like, oh my gosh, so I had to go back in there and go through this whole thing and everything. And they told me, well, just go on the registry and take that off. And they'll look at the registry. They won't look at your license. I'm like, nah, I'm not falling for that, man. You need to give me a new license. I don't want that on my license. They worked it out, so we're good. I had to get 2 pictures as a result. They were the 2 worst pictures I think I've ever taken. I am not showing my ID to anyone unless I have to, because they pressed my face down in there so that it's super wide. I mean, I look deranged in these pictures. It's crazy.
So you walked out of there with your actual ID? Because we did not. We still don't have ours.
They're mailing them to us.
Okay.
But they showed me what my picture looked like.
All right. So Lisa and I, our birthdays are exactly 1 month apart in January and February. So both of our licenses expired and we got to go to Florida, right? So this is 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So, finally I was late getting my license. She was early, and but we both no, she just had to do it. But we had to do it before we left, and they check it at the airport and stuff. So both of us went at different times, and we got different. We're both surprised about the whole, do you want the travel one or not? And I'm like, what? And we both got varying definitions that we both did not get them. And apparently we're going to have to get them in like a year or something, as I understand.
Yes.
I don't know what's up. But then by surprise, they said, do you want a 4-year or an 8-year? I'm like, what, really? Hell, give me the 8-year. And so that's a new one. And we walked out with pieces of paper that are temporary IDs instead of our IDs, as we've always gotten in the past for some reason, which made our travel experience hell. Handing over this 8.5 by 11 printout.
Yeah.
The people at the airport acted like they never saw one of these before. So we got put into this high risk. We got to go through extra security and all of our stuff gone through. At our risk of missing the flight. So I don't know. We're going backwards here. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
What is this travel ID?
So I got this up beginning May 3rd, 2023. Every air traveler 18 years of age and older will need a real ID compliant driver's license, state issued enhanced driver's license, or another acceptable form of ID to fly within the United States.
Shouldn't this be racist? Isn't it?
This is
terribly valid question.
No, it really is. I mean, why do I need an ID to fly?
Yeah.
I should just be able to show up and just fly.
Yeah, anybody.
Yeah. Well,
not only do you need an ID, you need a valid flight ID on top of it.
Yeah, isn't that something? Because if the rationale holds true, then there's a lot of people here in this country that just don't have the means to get an ID. So now they're just not going to be able to fly.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. You're bringing up a great point right there.
What is the rationale behind this special ID to fly? I mean, I'm sure it's because make sure you're not a terrorist in some regard or another, but how is this different from a regular driver's license?
That's a good question. I'm assuming that it's just, one of the things that we had in California was that anybody could get a driver's license. It didn't
Okay.
matter if you were a citizen or not.
Okay.
You could get a driver's license, and I believe this is happening because of the the security vulnerability. Because it's not just California doing that. There's other states that are doing this, but I believe that's what this is. And let's see, the travel ID will serve as a valid identification to pass through airports. How does it schedule? I have no idea why this is more secure than anything else, because it's not like they did anything different to get my information this time. In fact, it seemed a lot easier for them to get my information than any other place. So I have no idea why this makes us more secure.
I don't either, but yeah, let me tell you something. Make sure that you get that finalized ID before you go to the airport. You don't want to go through what we went through.
Yeah, you know what, it makes it a living nightmare when you don't have that kind of stuff. You know, when you're constantly being, you know, you're getting the shakedown every time you go to the airport. It's a terrible experience.
It is. I will say the TSA has definitely gotten more training in interactions, because they go out of their way to be more friendly and nice, where they used to, I think it's a real nice microcosmic look at what we say about our police nationwide, because I think our police, standard everyday police, need that kind of training, how to better interface with the public. Well, the TSA definitely got that training. So at least I could say that, you know.
I could say the last time that I flew, which is now several months ago, I had a very pleasant experience with TSA. So that's good. And we've even featured stories where, remember that TSA agent saved that little baby's life. She realized that the baby was not breathing, and it was just amazing stuff right there. So thank God we have those people. And
I remember back when they first became a thing, which doesn't seem that long ago, but I guess it was now. My friend Susan Lacotte, who's also an amateur bodybuilder, she wrote this post on Facebook. I'll never forget it. Saying something to the effect of, I'm not working out for my dating life. I'm working out because I got a TSA screening coming up in a week.
It is kind of weird.
You imagine what they see on that I don't know if it's an infrared or X-ray or whatever
that is. Yeah.
All those Kardashian like people going through there, like, what the hell they do to themselves? You know?
Yeah. And you know, it is kind of intrusive too. Just the whole thing, you know, what exactly are they seeing when they do that? It's a weird thing, and it's too bad that it's like that. I wish we could go back to how things used to be, but that's not a possibility.
Flying in general too, it's just a horrifying experience. And thank God that we have had direct flights for some years now. We finally can get them. We used to not be able to. We used to have to do a layover in Atlanta. It was a nightmare. So not only are you treated like an impersonal number and cattle once, but you are twice when you have a layover. And I just don't like the way that we are treated like cattle. It's awful.
I don't like that either. I mean, and some airlines, I don't know what you flew, but there are some airlines that just treat you like you are cattle. And I really hate that. And then there's others that treat you like you've just come home from a long trip. And I love being on those kinds of airlines.
I'm trying to think of major airline starts with a C. Think of it. But anyways, the flight home was terribly uncomfortable. And I always say, hey, man, it's 2 hours. I could stand on my head for 2 hours. So I don't care who I'm sitting by or what I'm doing or anything. Right. This flight was so uncomfortable. The seats were so close together that I had to kind of stay in one kind of fidget around in one kind of a pose. It was very, very uncomfortable for 2 hours.
Boy, I tell you, there are some airlines that have seats that are less comfortable than park benches. You know what I mean? Like you're on a like wooden slats, and you're like not even sitting upright. You're sitting forward, like you're. Like,
yes. Yes.
And it's
it was United. Didn't start with a C. It was United.
Okay.
I'm
yeah,
sure.
get them United. Why? United, I could go on and on about my experiences with United. Not real good. Anyway, hey, let's move on to. Did you have anything else before we move on to current events?
I do, and I think this is an important one. Joe Rogan last week had Diana Rogers and Rob Wolf on, and just a quick bio on them. Diana Rogers is a registered dietitian, nutritionist, and host of the Sustainable Dish podcast. Rob Wolf is a former research biochemist, author, and co-host of the Healthy Rebellion podcast. They are co-authors of The Sacred Cow, The Case for Better Meat, a companion. You're going to love this, Merle.
I already love it.
It's a companion book to the documentary of the same name on Amazon Prime. I cannot wait to see this documentary because I love this podcast. I like things. I don't love, but I like things about nutrition when I get my eyes open to new things. And I just wrote 4 bullet points that I did from memory. But it was a very, very interesting podcast. And what it basically was a very pro-meat podcast. And it did a lot of, what do you want to say, fly in the face of these popular myths about veganism and the virtueness of it and how harmful meat is. And I do mean the what I want to say, the misinformation about that has been pushed down our throats since the 70s. I'm going to tell you what I learned about 10 years ago, less than that, but I've mentioned the documentary Fed Up before. It's a terrific documentary. You can probably find it on YouTube these days for free. I suggest everybody watches that because that's when I learned about how in cahoots the FDA became, how bought off they were by the food industry lobbyists. And what happened back then, remember the light craze?
Yes.
Yeah. So we were told that everything was about fat now. Why? Because food lobbyists wanted that. It was a trade-off. They said, do not talk about sugar.
Right.
Because we're getting everybody addicted to sugar, which is like worse than heroin, from what I understand, the addiction of it. And so we'll talk about fat. Everything's a fat thing. And so we're going to make everything low fat and pump up the sugar content instead. And they did. And that's why everybody's obese now. Right. And so this also had obviously very ill effects to the meat industry. I'm going to read back to this. I'm going to mention again the documentary and book. It's called Sacred Cow, The Case for Better Meat. Some bulleted points off the top of my head that I remembered. Industry has been anti-meat or saturated fat since the 70s as the food industry pushes low fat as they increase the sugar. I guess I already said all that. Resulting in, a statistic I remember, they said, resulting in 70% of Americans being diabetic or pre-diabetic / obese. 70% of Americans. Okay, so everybody's instead pushing veganism. And who is buying up all the farmland in America? We know China is, but I just found out Bill Gates.
Bill Gates, I knew it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he is. And he's the big anti-meat guy I see all the time. Trying to mess with my hamburgers. And I'm telling you.
And Rogan said, look at that guy. He's pudgy, got these little tiny arms. He looks like crap. And he's trying to give out nutrition advice.
Right.
Veganism has used one ideology, progressive virtue signaling.
Yes.
They've used environmental concerns, cow burps. We like to say farts because that's funnier, but it's really, they're talking about their cow burps being full of methanol and ruining the environment. This is all BS. And three, ethics, inhumane farming, killing of these animals. I'm just going to quickly say what that's truly, the reality is. Animals die horrific deaths in the wild, absolutely horrific. Okay, so they are being eaten alive by bears and things like that. They live, unless it's the unethical farming, we do have a problem with some of that. So we should be getting on the bandwagon of demanding more ethical farming, back to what way it used to be, and let these animals live a dignified life and a dignified death. All right, so there's that. So and then where am I here? And number 4, veganism uses misleading studies. But for instance, they talk about, protein in beans. We've all heard this 100 times. You get tons and tons of protein from beans. Well, you get a lot more from meat. And they measure it in the studies. They measure it pre-cooked when it's about a quarter of the weight of a cooked bean. All right. So now you're talking about, one serving, and I Googled this, so I make sure I use the correct. As soon as you Google this stuff on beans, boy, do you see all of and I love beans. I eat a lot of them. So I'm not dissing beans, but it's overpumped, way overpumped. So they say, you can Google this, 1 serving or a half cup of cooked beans provides about 7 grams of protein, the same as 1 ounce of meat. Eat your meat, folks. You get a lot more vitamins, minerals, and protein from that. And they say, and another one is, they say that whereas holistic farming is, terrific in every regard, they do say, but I got to say, they said that grass-fed beef is not really any difference in better for you versus your standard beef. It's just that you get a leaner cut of meat, but there's also a lot of vitamins and stuff in the fat from regular beef. And this is all studies. This isn't their conjecture. They spent 4 years writing this book and doing these studies. Yeah. So they couldn't get Netflix to touch this. They couldn't get anybody. They couldn't get a publisher. So it's a self-published book. And finally, they got it on Amazon Prime because it's like the whole virtue signaling thing. It goes against the narrative. And so people don't want to touch this kind of thing. And I'll also say that I recently saw a TED Talk by Michaela Peterson, Jordan Peterson's daughter. She's really intelligent. She actually does Jordan's podcast. And anyways, they both have the same affliction. And I don't know if there's an exact terminology for it, but anyways, growing up, like she had such problems with her bones, like her ankle disintegrated twice. Wow. She's had it replaced, and all kinds of, she's like Jordan. She's been on the verge of death, and she found through all kinds of elimination dieting, this, that, and the other, and just experimentation and out of desperation, she found that a carnivore diet, just eating meat, is the only thing that has cured her. And in fact, a lot of people have found, and this flies in the face of so much, but a lot of people have found if they go to a carnivore diet, that it reduces the inflammation, it reverses arthritis. There's so many things, there's so many misnomers about meat that are being disproven now, and people do not want to let the cat out of the bag.
Well, and I was going to mention here too, because my mom, you talk about sugar and the detrimental effects of sugar on the society. Yes. My mom was having some issues with arthritis pain. I think it was in her wrist or something like that. But so I think her doctor told her, sugar has a lot to do with that. And she just really pretty much eliminated all sugar from her diet and has not had a problem with that since then.
Not surprised one bit.
Interesting, isn't it?
I wanted to make the final point I forgot to mention. I brought up Michaela Peterson because she was part of this TED Talk program with all these other speakers. Everyone else got their stuff published elsewhere, their TED Talks published elsewhere, except her. Probably one, because of the name Peterson. Jordan Peterson is so controversial in and of himself with the left, and 2, because it was a pro carnivore diet, and she said repeatedly that it's not for everybody. But there are some people that have certain afflictions that people need to know this to have it available to them, and nobody would touch it. Nobody would touch it. I saw it on YouTube.
I mean, it really is. There is a huge effort to get rid
Demonize.
of meat, to demonize meat. We just found out there was an article in the paper about the new law that California set, where it was that they won't put pork products on their shelves in the grocery stores that don't live up to these certain living standards for the pigs, where they have to have bigger spaces and everything.
Yes.
Well, California, they consume about 15% of the nation's pork consumption.
Wow.
And so what this is doing is, we talk about supply chain and everything. That was one of the first things that I noticed in the store when inflation started to really ramp up, was that suddenly my bacon that I would buy for $5 for, what is it, a pound of that or whatever, was $15. And it turns out that that's got little to do with the supply chain thing.
Correct.
It's the regulations. And
no,
interestingly,
it's not. It is the 4 different companies that dominate the entire meat industry that took all of this as an excuse and just hiked it up, and the farmers never saw a cent in this price hike.
Well, this is what I'm saying, is that in California, they came up with a regulation that the pork industry just can't actually do for everybody and sell it at a reasonable price, and it's made the price of bacon skyrocket everywhere, including California. So this is what's happening, is we're seeing these meat prices go way up. I mean, we're actually hearing the president of our country targeting meat companies and saying they're out there gouging people.
They are,
and they need to bring the price down. Well, they seem to be in cahoots with the government on this as well, with the regulations that they're putting out there. So I see there's a smoke screen around where the real problem is.
Everything.
And that seems to be what happens with everything today. The other thing too is whenever I see the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation involved in anything, to your point, look at the testing that they've done to prove their theories out, and you'll see big holes in what they're actually doing, and it's the relevancy to the test, to their conclusions. There's no correlation there, but they pump out these sound bites to make it seem like if you're not a vegan, you're gonna die because you're eating that meat that's gonna kill you. When to your point, very valid. We've got a huge epidemic of diabetes out there, and it's because of what the Food and Drug Administration has done with these food companies to, and I mean, call it a conspiracy. It's not a theory. It's really happening. This is a conspiracy is real when you've got all these organizations conspiring, collaborating together to make these things happen and then blame it on something else. That's what's happening.
Now, 2 points that you made me think of is, one, they're horrified about what the school systems are being manipulated in this way too, with their ideology. So talking about kids, many kids that are getting their best meal of the day at school, and they are doing meatless Mondays now, and now they're doing it on Friday. So now they're going Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday without any meat. And these developing kids need this more than anything else. So that's the one thing. The other was, they mentioned, you made me think of it just now. They mentioned several studies that they used to for this veganism thing with Bill Gates and all of that. And you go to ask for the information on the study, and it's the typical non-science stuff. They have nothing to back it up. This is the thing is, and I'm tired of hearing this believe in science crap, because I know. We've bastarded it. We've ruined science today. It used to be, we've mentioned this before, and it should be mentioned every day, that science is when you do a study, you document how the study is done, every result of that study, so it can be duplicated by other scientists to either prove or disprove your study. So it could be validated or invalidated. That's not the way things are done anymore. This country, man, I'm telling you, in so many ways, we are just crumbling. And
you're right about that. This whole notion of peer-reviewed studies has flown out the window, and now they just make these press releases or these grand announcements that we've discovered that this, that, and the other, and that becomes the gospel. And anybody that tries to do a study that would disprove that, is demonized and ruined and canceled.
Correct. So it's all ideology driven, and that's just absolutely ridiculous. So I was going to say, like so many other things, there's a positive here that there are efforts to get farming back to what it used to be, more humane. Yes, it takes a little more land, but also having the farmers who are suffering as much as the public is because of these four big giant industries that are in cahoots. There's your conspiracy. And they have to, like everything else, I always bring up Airbnb and Uber and things like that, are more privatizing industries. And that's the farmer needs to get back to supplying more local regions and putting a dent into these four big companies. And I think that movement is going to start happening, and it's for the benefit of everybody.
Beautiful.
So that's my spiel on that. Oh,
boy, that actually made me really hungry.
Well, it also should have made you feel pretty damn good about how you love your meat and you're not shy about saying it.
Yeah, I'm not. No one's going to get me off of that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I never believed it from the start.
Well, your bacon.
With this.
I would say bacon you should take it easy on because of the amount of saturated fat. But a steak, very good for you. Very good for you.
Yeah, I've definitely cut down my bacon consumption over the years. But you know what? It's Scott and I were talking about a fantasy we had of bacon growing on trees, and this being able to ride your bicycle down like a grove of bacon trees with your mouth open and just the bacon off of the trees.
Bacon makes everything better.
Yeah, it really does.
That
was our version of heaven, actually. Bacon is growing off of trees.
I hear you. You
don't even have to bend down.
We are already getting close to running out of time, but maybe, one of these days I want to get back to my geography lessons about these interesting countries I run across. But for now, maybe we should squeeze a current event in here. There's something you want to talk about?
Well, we do have the announcement. It seems like this comes out all the time, but it's really a different announcement every time because of the way that they measure this. But we just had inflation soared to 7.9 in the past year, a fresh 40-year high. We keep saying that at the beginning or middle of every month because that's when they come out with that. But it's a rolling 12 months that they look at every month.
Right.
And so this month again, we hit another record. Let's see, for 12 months ending in February, grocery prices leapt 8.6%, the biggest year-over-year increase since 1981. The government said gas prices are up a whopping 38%, and housing costs have risen 4.7%, the largest yearly jump since 1991. So, boy, these guys are. This is terrible. Our whatever savings that you have is now worth less than it was a year ago. And in politics, the thing is are you better off before since I was in office or after? Well, you take a look at the last year, and it always makes me remember those executive orders that Joe Biden signed on day one of this presidency.
And the pipeline. The pipeline.
Yeah, it's the big thing. I mean, look, gas is up 38% since last year. And by the way, I looked into this article. This is ABC News. And what they were talking about is that they haven't even factored in the recent fuel increases since the Russian invasion. So 38%. You hear Joe Biden out there talking, it's Russia's responsibility. But these numbers have nothing to do with Russia right here. This is before Russia did anything that they did. Whatever is going to happen on top of that 38% could be Russia, and also the agenda that this organization or administration that's in there has. And, you look at how Biden campaigned before this. He made it very clear that he was going to destroy the fossil fuel industry. I mean, he said that out of his mouth. His people around him have said that they haven't held back on that. But now what you're hearing in the news is you've got his press secretary, you got Joe Biden, you've got the secretary of
vice president. Did you see that video with her cackling on about her favorite thing is electric school buses? She is just so inappropriate at all times.
I did not hear that. No.
Oh,
her favorite thing is electric school buses.
Yeah, she's all giddy about how she's trying to spin the inflationary problems that we're having with gas into this whole pro electric. You know how pro electric I am, but yes. It's got to take place we got to ease into this over time,
right?
And infrastructure. I mean, along with the infrastructure for it. But that's kind of the problem with 4-year term limits. And I'm pro term limits, but I'm just saying we got to understand that is a problem, that we cannot make this thing overnight. But additionally, about Kamala Harris, did you see her talking to the president of Poland like yesterday?
No, I didn't see that. Tell me.
Cackling so inappropriately and loudly when asked. I probably should maybe I'll dig that video up for the after show. It is so bad. It's so bad.
Really?
Yeah, she's being asked a question. The president of Poland is here and she's at a podium over here. And she didn't know the answer. And so she started her horribly blasphemous, inappropriate laughter and said something like, and this is why we need our friends, and volleys the question over to him. It was really bad, Merle. That woman has no competence for that position.
And here's the thing: is we're on the precipice of World War III.
Yes, and so, that's who you send over.
Yeah, what? Are you kidding me?
Right.
You're going to send Kamala Harris? I mean, what did we do earlier in the administration? Once we got a problem at the southern border, send Kamala Harris. You send her down there.
Yeah.
What did it get better? No, it got worse.
Right.
So now, World War III is about to start. Send Kamala Harris. Wow.
Yeah.
What? I'm speechless. Actually,
you know what?
They would do that.
I know that we're going to wind up the show here in a minute, but I do want to say I'm also very perturbed about all the various headlines I'm seeing of very hawkish kind of headlines that is scaring the living hell out of me. Because, one of the things that Lisa and I talked about that last day of vacation, they're just having idle conversation, is, tomorrow our lives could be forever changed if there's nuclear missiles launched.
That's right.
I don't want to be here because of somebody's ideology or for the sake of getting clicks on a website. I don't want to be hearing people like, we should be doing that no-fly zone. America should be doing this no-fly zone. First of all, we shouldn't be leading anything. We should be supporting, sure, but this is Europe's gig. It's time they step up, and we should be there for support for sure. But we better be damn careful about our language and our gestures, our actions. So I don't want the ramifications of a nuclear war, for God's sakes. Think it through.
Boy, I think, do I ever agree with you on this? And I've thought a lot about this, Barry. I think we're going to have to take that subject into the after show.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to expand on that because while I agree with everything that you said, unfortunately, there's another part of my brain that's telling me, yeah, but how in the world do we avoid the aggression that's happening by Russia? Is Ukraine the only place that Putin is interested in, or is he actually interested in waging war against the European powers? And if so, we're a part of the NATO organization, and there's this thing called Article 5 that says an attack on us is an attack on one of us, and is an attack on all of us.
Yeah.
And so what do we do?
And the ramifications of, if we just let them have Ukraine, then there's China with Taiwan.
They're
watching.
There's a domino effect that we're looking at. Like, the dominoes are about to tip over right now. And from my point of view, and I've tried to put myself in Joe Biden's shoes, I don't know if there's really any good move left for him to make right now that's going to avoid us having a head-to-head conflict with Russia, a nuclear power.
And I totally agree with that. That's my point. I see both sides. My only point is it's delicate. I totally agree with you. If I'm Joe Biden, could I have said that I would have done this better than him? No, I couldn't. I'm just saying I get bothered by the hawkish talk in the headlines.
Same here. And that whole no-fly zone thing is such a I think very few people understand what Zelensky was asking for when he was asking for no-fly, because no-fly sounds like
doesn't sound like much.
Yeah, it sounds sort of like an innocent thing. That can't hurt any. Yeah, no fly. Okay, don't fly over there.
Right.
No,
it's like canceling a flight to Florida for a week. No, it's not like No, it means if Russia sends one plane through there, that means we're going to shoot it down, and that means it's going to start the war.
Yep. Yeah,
it's an active war.
Yeah. That's exactly right. And this whole thing that they did with the MiGs in Poland, I don't know if you saw that, where Poland got these MiG-29s that
Biden handled that well. I think you can't.
Here's what I think.
What's this sleight of hand when you're telling everybody what you're doing? That's not,
So that's my thing. Is the public there was no reason for that to be out in the public. What they should have done, if they wanted to get those MiGs into Ukraine, they shouldn't have put it in the news. They should have done that in the middle of the night and keep that hush hush.
Yeah.
But now that they made a big deal out of it, and Biden said, well, we don't want to what was it? We don't want to be confrontational here, is telling a tyrant like Hitler, remember the appeasement in Munich, that, hey, do whatever you got to do. I'm going to do whatever I got to do to avoid some kind of a confrontation. What that tells a tyrant is, hey, I got free reign. I can just take whatever I want.
That's, again, the precarious, delicate situation that it is. Yeah.
And so what really we need experts in diplomacy right now. And the problem is what we did was we sent Kamala Harris. Horrible.
Second most important job in the world.
That's right.
Jeez, man. All right. I want to take us out with a 20-second video that you're going to love. Cool. It is children cheer on worker every time he shovels some dirt.
All right.
Okay. Let's try this.
There we go.
Watch it. Just the guy in the schoolyard digging a hole. Cutest thing.
I love that.
They are so cute. That is only 20 seconds. Hey, you know what? If you want to check it out for yourself, if you're just listening, go to YouTube and search "Children Cheer on Worker every time he shovels dirt." Oh, gotta get rid of that.
Oh my gosh.
That was loud.
What a cool thing for that guy. How encouraging that was to dig that hole.
That was like the best day at work he's had. Looked like a beautiful day too, wherever that was.
Did, yeah.
All right.
Kids are really cute.
Hey guys, if you want to catch all this stuff and not miss anything, go to over50startingover.com and sign up. Not .net. Sounds like a great site. Check it out. But go to Over 50 Starting Over, all spelled out, .net. Sign up there. You won't miss anything. Get all these links and everything. See you next week. Merle, we're going to go into the after show. So if you guys want to check that out, best way to do it is to sign up like I just told you. Okay. See you guys.